What's good, y'all boys? Welcome back again to another video. This video should be coming out today, same day I'm filming it. So tonight is the fourth GOP Republican presidential debate. Okay, it's the fourth one, and appropriately, I guess they've dropped down to four candidates. Mike Pence is out. Tim Scott is out. Asa, whatever is out after the first one. Doug Burnham, whatever his name is, been gone. Now it's just Nikki Haley, right? Neocon Nikki Tiki Tavi, Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Krispy Kreme Christie. Which again, I'm still surprised that he's still there. Okay, I guess they still need the I hate Trump representation from him. So tonight they're going to be in Alabama. I'm working tonight, so I wouldn't be able to live stream it. But I'm gonna watch the full thing. I'll probably react to the full thing and probably post it tomorrow or something. I'll probably watch it tonight, post it tomorrow. Hopefully it's on YouTube. I can watch it for free and not have to go through loops to try to see it. I'm not sure who's hosting, if it's Fox News or not. But anyway, with all that being said, I seen a couple clips off this The Hill video that we're gonna react to. Tucker Carlson says Nikki Haley should never be in charge of anything. I'm not too much a fan of Tucker Carlson, but you know, he be grinding though. He do his thing, but I'm not really a Tucker Carlson fan. He don't appeal to me at all. But he does say some things that should be said sometimes, from what I've seen. But hey, let's get into it. This is The Hill Rising. The white dude and the black lady.
My main focus is actually going to be to show everybody that I'm able to speak.
There was a video I need to react to. It was him and Chris Cuomo. That shit was good as fuck, but I think it's too late
Truth
now.
And answer the questions that come from the moderators. I do think that Elizabeth and Meghan are good choices as moderators based on what I know about them and see them as journalists. So I'm hopeful that we can have an even higher quality debate than we've been able to have so far in the RNC hosted debates so far. So my strategy is going to be answer the questions, be transparent, speak the truth.
Chris Cuomo look like a monkey, bro. I'm sorry.
Still, within a minute and a half, you're not going to be able to go into great policy depth. People can look at my longer speeches for that. But people do need to be able to understand whether a candidate's being transparent with them or whether they're dancing around issues to avoid talking about it.
Here's a flashback. Former Fox News host Tucker Carlson weighed in on one of the Republican politicians who, in his belief, should not be running the country. Let's watch.
I'll never forget it as long as I live. And then she said, in order for healing to occur, what happens next must be personal and painful for everyone. I thought, really, why is that? And of course, what happened next was personal and painful for everyone. Our cities burned down and a lot of people died. And I thought, why should what happened between a cop and George Floyd outside a convenience store in Minneapolis be personal and painful to anybody else? What are you even talking about? Oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're trying to please the people whose opinions you actually care about at the New York Times. That's just true. Doesn't mean she's a bad person. I don't think she is a bad person. I've always liked Nikki Haley. She was right here. I tell her to her face, I like you. Don't want you in charge of anything. Because the second things get intense, the second the other side really unleashes and starts yelling so loudly that you can't think clearly.
I'm going to give you my #1 tip to get over a breakup, and that is going to be going to therapy. Going to therapy helped me.
Okay, so I guess Nikki Haley was talking about something when it came to the George Floyd stuff. I don't think it should be personal. Well, listen, the reason it was personal for some people, personal and painful, is because it's just another image of some cops on top of a black dude that wasn't fighting them, that wasn't hitting them, that wasn't trying to shoot nobody. Okay, he wasn't trying to kill nobody, but they was on him. Dude had his knee on his neck. So, you know, people don't like those images. I don't like seeing those images of people, of black people specifically, getting shot by police, getting beat up by police, dying when dealing with police. I don't like that. Now, I'm not saying that's every instance, but it's, you know, it is, there's a historical background to it, and it happens, bro. So.
A recent News Nation Decision Desk HQ News poll found that 60%.
But again, I don't take anything that Tucker Carlson says about when it comes to stuff with black people serious, because, again, when I seen how he was reporting on like the Buffalo shooting, and he kept trying to downplay that it was race related. It was race. He was targeting black people, trying to downplay that. Okay, I can't take it serious because it was very obvious that that's what it was. You know, Tucker Carlson one of the ones where it's like, you know, it's just one of the things where, you know, you're on the ideological side, so you're gonna lean into what that side thinks and feels and believes. Same shit that these fucking liberals do and these progressives do. If it benefits them, the mainstream media, if it benefits them that black people victims, they're gonna latch onto every story where it looks like a black person's victimized. Vice on the opposite end, even if it's a situation where a black person really is victimized because they're black, Tucker Carlson's side is gonna try to downplay it, or at least not talk about it as much because it doesn't fit their narrative. Yes, both sides do it. At this point in time in history, I think the liberal mainstream side is more egregious because they try to pretend more shit happens than it really does. You know what I mean? But let's keep going, though.
Percent of Republicans would support former President Donald Trump in the GOP primary, who has signaled that he will not participate.
How much?
Former President Donald
60%.
Trump in the GOP primary, who has signaled that he will not participate in tomorrow's debate and will instead take part in a Fox News town hall hosted by Sean Hannity tonight. That same poll found that about 11% of Republicans said they would support Ron DeSantis if the primary were held today. 10% are going for Nikki Haley, 6% in support of Ramaswamy, and 3% for Christie.
Bro,
so
they need to put Vivek
is
over Nikki Haley, bro.
Probably going to be
They're
the
tripping.
next shoe to drop, or domino to fall, etc. Other, candidates who are kind of making this anti-Trump pitch or hold Trump responsible for his actions, January 6th, etc. Mike Pence have gotten out of the race. There's just not really an appetite for that whatsoever in the Republican primary field. So I would expect Christie to.
I was having a conversation with somebody about that the other day, where there was like, oh, well, it was an insurrection. Off rip. But I remember this vividly, because this was my opinion when the January 6th shit first happened. I thought it was bad. Like, damn, these people really went over there and was marching all through that government building, waving the Confederate flag. One person was smearing shit on the wall. Other people was doing little bullshit. I think a cop died. I think 2 people died afterwards, and one lady got shot. That was there. One protester got shot. But I didn't think it was that as crazy as the news was saying. As they're talking about, oh my gosh, this is worse than 9/11. This is news. 9/11 is a terror attack. They were trying to overthrow the country. No, they weren't, dude. No, they weren't. They were just mad because they felt like y'all stole the election from them. Which you could argue that there was election interference, right? But again, it's only a problem with people who like Trump say. If you like Trump, it's a problem if you say that. But if you don't like Trump, if you like Hillary, you like Biden, you're a Democrat, it's not a problem if you say it. Because they were saying it. They were saying they stole election. They stole election. Stacey Abrams said it. Really? In reality, I won or some shit like that. Like, okay, both sides be doing this stuff, bro. And both sides be protesting. When Trump became president, niggas was outside burning shit. But I was talking about this to him. And he was like, oh, well, no, it's really bad. It's really bad. I'm like, okay, well, look, the main problem is that I'm not arguing that it was bad or not. I think it was bad, right? Even though reality, there was a small percentage of it that was super crazy. The mass majority of it was regular and mundane. People walking around. The police there was touring people around. They were giving them tours. They were guiding them. They let them in. Okay? They let them in. But my main argument is that, okay, look how they talk about this, but then compare it to how they was talking about a lot of the protests and a lot of the riots, mainly during 2020, summer 2020. They're making this one seem like, okay, it's no big deal. They're downplaying the riots. They're downplaying the burning of businesses. They're downplaying the looting because it's because of the narrative behind it. They like the narrative. A black person was killed by police. Multiple black people have been killed by police back to back. That went viral. So that's the narrative behind it. So it's okay. This one, they felt like there was government interference in their election. The person who won president, that's not okay because we don't like that candidate. There you go. So they make this one seem more altruistic, and they make this one seem more crazy. Even though there was and the parts of this that was crazy, that was burning buildings, looting black businesses, black people suffering in the name of Black Lives Matter, they downplayed that, right? And they vilified people like Kyle Rittenhouse. Meanwhile, the thousands of hours of footage of people mundanely walking in through a Capitol, they downplay that, and they only show the crazy extreme parts. That's what they do. So that's the argument. They're hypocritical. They only push what they want you to see, what they believe in. So I never really cared the way that they talk about it, they hyperbolize it.
Departure.
January 6th.
For the other three candidates have some support. Obviously, it's nowhere near the support Donald Trump has, but Nikki Haley represents neoconservatism. She comes across as the most moderate on a lot of issues. She's very well spoken. I think there's a lot about her that is theoretically attractive to the kind of moderate, independent swing voters Republicans need to win. At the same time, she is by far the most extreme on foreign policy, and extreme in a direction that, frankly, the Republican Party and Republican primary voters have rebelled against and moved against. So that makes her a very complicated figure at best. Unpopular also for a lot of the reasons perhaps that Tucker Carlson was getting into there. Vivek is the one who speaks mostly, I think, to young very conservative people online. He speaks their language. He speaks a lot about wokeness and cancel culture. He's been really successful and savvy in the kind of podcast race situation, and has gotten a lot of attention for himself, and also has a lot of detractors because of his abrasive style, but also has a base of support. And then DeSantis is has been the hope for people who mostly like Trump's policies, but think Trump is a little bit too toxic to still be the nominee, who liked how DeSantis handled the pandemic. That's where his biggest approval comes in. But frankly, I think a lot of people are disappointed so far with his performance as a candidate. So that's
Yeah, like me personally, I still feel like DeSantis shouldn't have ran. I ain't gonna lie to you. But I feel like a lot of people kind of, I don't know if they coerced him or they forced him or they talked him into it. I don't know. I feel like he should have. Again, it's really looking like another matchup between Trump and somebody. Something gonna happen. It's gonna be something unexpected, because Trump is Biden, hell nah. But Trump already has so much baggage, and it's hard to think that anything's really going to get done, because all these people in the establishment is going to be against him. They're going to try to stop anything he try to do, good or bad, right? So it's hard to even see any of that. But again, the establishment is always going to do what they do, so it is what it is. Biden's bro, this old ass dude, obviously he's not running shit. Come on, bro, come on. We already know that. We don't like him. We don't like a lot of stuff these Democrats pushing. Look how they handle the southern border. Look at her lack of handling the southern border, actually. I'm not fucking with it. Definitely not voting for Biden. But they didn't they close the Democrat primary? That's why we're only seeing Republican debates. You're not seeing any Democrats debate, right? Before we saw Joe Biden versus Kamala Harris versus a bunch of other people. But no. They see Biden's the only option, the only choice. Even though it seemed like secretly Gavin Newsom might be rearing to go. But hey, speculation. Let's keep going.
That's the stakes. Those are the three potential non-Trump people.
Yeah. So, your characterization of Ramaswamy is what it is, but looking at the actual polls, it doesn't seem like all the attention he garners at these various debates, positive or negative, seem to have been benefiting him in the least. He's way down from a one-time high of close to 10% and has been hovering around the 5% mark for a really long time now. If you look on the other side of the aisle,
it's unfortunate. What's she mean by that? His characterization of Ramaswamy is what it is. What does that mean?
That it's
does she not like him?
Williamson have been at over twice that and gotten not nearly as much media attention, partly because the Democrats aren't having a primary, but still have been broadly ignored by the same media institutions that will give someone like Ramaswamy ample interviews, town halls, and the like. And at a certain point, I think one does have to ask how much of his appeal really is online. How much of it caters to journalists who are also online, and we tend to be more focused on what people are tweeting and how viral their clips go, and how much penetration into the actual American mind space he really does have. Now, DeSantis similarly has been on a big downward trajectory, obviously. I'm looking at...
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Vivek needs to go around more. I don't know what he's been doing. I don't know because I'm not following him every day. But maybe, I don't know if he just needs to travel more. I don't know.
This 538... average polling, and I don't ever remember him being as high as 35%, but that's what it's looking like here. Obviously, now he's down around 13 And the only person who has an upward trajectory who's not named Donald Trump is Nikki Haley at 10.5%, which probably explains why she has gotten this recent Koch brothers support and cash hand over fist to try to do a big ad push in some of these crucial early states. She does seem to be the contender to watch for if you want an alternative to Trump, regardless of where your politics fall. I wanted to ask you what you make of...
yeah, my coworker's like he'd rather have Nikki Haley over Trump. Hell no.
Tucker Carlson's choice to focus in on Nikki Haley in that clip. Is it because potentially she is the rising threat of this crew? And what do you make of that specific criticism on her remarks after, I believe he was referencing her remarks after George Floyd was killed?
I mean, she is not, for the reasons that Tucker described there, for both the foreign policy and there's a perception that she's willing to, that she's courting elite media or even mainstream media attention and approval by making statements that are not necessarily themselves offensive, but are like telling mainstream people, liberals even, what they want to hear. So it's like, I can be an acceptable Republican because I'll say all the things you want me to hear. And to a lot of conservatives, that's like if you're willing to, you care more about their support than our support. Is that what you're saying? That's a view of her. That's been the view of her candidacy for forever.
Is that what he was pointing to there? When she, in the wake of a man being literally murdered on camera by a police officer, that went viral, I think, because most people think it's pretty unconscionable to have a knee on somebody's neck for almost 10 minutes and snuff them out on their news feed.
Some people try to argue it wasn't because of the knee on the neck. Oh, he had fentanyl and other drugs in the system. See, they say that, but then, okay, you say that. Would he have died if they wasn't on his neck? If that whole altercation didn't happen in another universe and he walked up that store over a fake 20 apparently, would he have just dropped on the floor and died? Yes or no? Okay then.
Saying a statement along the lines of how this is like a personal...
Your knee on somebody's neck is crazy, especially when you have 3 other officers there holding him down and he's in handcuffs. I think he was in handcuffs, right? Yeah, it's still crazy. I don't care what nobody try to say to try to downplay it. Don't care.
A painful moment, a moment of reckoning and...
But people did definitely use that situation for their own political and personal gain. Yes, I agree. Like Black Lives Matter, talk about them plenty of times. Fuck them.
Consideration as the then governor of a state with a large...
Black lesbians matter.
Black population who might feel particularly concerned about police violence. Is that pandering, or is that kind of the job of leadership to be sensitive to the emotional needs of the communities that you represent?
I mean, the conservative position, a lot of conservatives, including a lot of people on Fox News, I don't remember particularly what Tucker Carlson said about it. I do remember Sean Hannity and Dan Bongino talking about over and over again how the actions taken by the cop, Derek Chauvin, I believe his name is, were wrong, and that should not have happened. And so there was not a defense of that action of what happened there.
Hey, even Donald Trump made a statement saying that he was sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd.
Absolutely, because we're citizens and police are government employees, and there should be accountability for them when they screw up or they violate our rights or they cause to die.
Yeah, I think what they do is they'll agree, something like that. They agree that it's bad, but they won't dive into, let's say, like a history of police violence against black people. They're not going to go into that territory because that's identity politics. That's woke, right? That's woke. It's funny because I'm someone who talks about shit being woke. I'll tell you something woke for real. Like that Netflix Cleopatra shit. They made Cleopatra black because the motherfuckers that was woke as hell. You try to pander to black people and change history. That's woke. But accepting the fact that, yes, black people have faced discrimination from police, that's not woke. That's just reality. But that's when people get lost. They try to use woke as a cover-all word for certain shit that don't really apply to it. So yeah, that's how a lot of conservatives see shit. If you talk about something that specifically deals with black people, somebody doing something to black people, or you're being a victim, victim mindset. Victim mindset is real. It is something that people push, but you also can't acknowledge that there are people and that have done shit to black people for a reason, that have got black people to where they are today. Okay? It is what it is. If you are such a history buff or analyze history, you see certain shit. That when it comes to stealing people's land, when it comes to, I'm talking about black people specifically, when it comes to like how a lot of them white people treated blacks during the Reconstruction era when they was rebuilding and building their own communities, their own towns. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that trickle down that I don't have an encyclopedia memory, so I can't give you every detail piece by piece. I'm sorry. I wish I could. But there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit, bro.
Die people for no reason,
Anyways,
as what happened in that case. It was totally unnecessary for it to end that way. Where the conservative pushback comes in is making it explicitly about racial prejudice in all corners of America. I mean,
Is that what Nikki Haley said?
Yeah, she talked about the connecting it to the the country's history and our history with racism.
You remember that? Because I don't remember.
Let me finish.
I didn't hear that from what Tucker Carlson.
Come on, white boy. What you talking about, white boy? They clashing.
Said just then.
Well, I think those were the remarks he was. We can play the clip again. I don't remember exactly what he said, but she said that she needs to be painful for the whole country because we all need to suffer and reckon with how we were complicit in some kind of racism. That's what. I'm telling you that's what conservatives heard in what she said, and while I absolutely condemn what that police officer did and what any police officer does, violence against a citizen that is inappropriate, which does happen, and it gets called out, and should be, and it gets called out a lot at the magazine I write for. I've written about these issues before. There was frankly there's no evidence that it was that the race had anything to do with it. Police do.
Disproportionately.
They do, yes, but also they do it against white people and Asian people and all sorts of, like, not being black is not a defense against police violence.
Of course it's not, and it's a reason why a lot more white people, especially a lot more poor people, which is the biggest indicator of being a victim of police violence, should be invested in it and not fall for, I think, a lot of conservative narratives that say that it's not their problem because they're not black, or that black people specifically deserve their fate at the hand of the police, which is an argument
for sure, but we should not lean into. I mean, I think I support a lot of criminal justice reform. I think it does the movement no favors to lean into it as an explicitly racial issue, since our nation is so polarized around that race.
This is not the first time Tucker Carlson has brought up these specific remarks from Nikki Haley. He did so last month, and here's the quote from that. He said, again, this is what we listened to. I said I'm standing with the police. She was tweeting that it needed to be personal and painful for every single person. I'm thinking to myself, what does that need to be personal and painful for you or me? We had nothing to do with it. Right. And I don't know. I think it's kind of I think it's an overreach.
See, and that's the thing that is a trend with people, but especially with conservatives, right? Oh, that got nothing to do with me. There's two examples. Two examples. I remember one example. What was the second one? But one example, right? Nancy Reagan. And I'll actually look it up too, so I back it up what I'm saying. There was pushback against stem cell research by Nancy Reagan and some of the Republicans of that era. Until Ronald Reagan got sick with whatever he got sick with, because I forgot. And it was seen that stem cell research probably would have helped him out with whatever he was sick with. And when Nancy Reagan would learn that, that's when she started promoting it and pushing it and, getting more funding into stem cell research, because it's seen that, okay, this actually personally affects me. Now I understand. There was another story similar to that too, with another Republican. I forgot what it was. I don't remember if it was because of Social Security or what was it. I don't know. But that's a mindset that they have. Oh, what does that have to do with me? That got nothing to do with me. But again, are you sure? Because these are Americans, right? You care about America. You love America. You love American citizens. There's something being done wrongly to Americans. It happened to them. It happened to you too. It happens to lots of poor people in poor areas. It happens to lots of black people. It happens to lots of white people in those poor areas that are poor. You know what I'm saying? What happens if that's you? Then you would care. If it happens to somebody in your family, then you would care. Let me look it up. Nancy Reagan, because I could be remembering stuff not all the way correct, but let's see. Ronald Reagan had Alzheimer's. That's what it was. When the president became too incapacitated and could not function normally, Nancy Reagan began supporting federally funded embryonic stem cell research in the hopes that such research could lead to an Alzheimer's cure. She also remained an honorary board member of the Research Institute. Okay, there you go. That's why. As president, Ronald Reagan banned research on fetal tissue seeking potential cure for diseases because the tissue came from the products of abortions. That's why. Now, ironically, Reagan's death may invigorate political debate over Medical research on stem cells. Okay. That's what it was. Yeah, and at some point, I think 2001 or something, Bush had banned federal funding to stem cell research, but I think they're more open to it nowadays. Let's keep going.
Think of a child were killed at a school shooting. People say things like we need to be introspective about our gun control policies. You don't have to agree with it politically, but the idea that this is a moment of reckoning for a country to decide whether or not we want to do something differently as we stare down the barrel of a tragedy, I think is a pretty anodyne and benign statement. But we'll see if Tucker's right, if hitting her on showing some sympathy for George Floyd, which majority of Americans actually did support in the wake of his death.
Right, and including many conservatives. I think Tucker and I'm just for fairness, the right would dispute that characterization. It's not because she showed sympathy for George Floyd. It's because she leaned into the collective guilt of the country for its racial sins in the past. That's what was heard by by conservatives, and that's why a lot of them don't like her. More Rising right after this.
Look at her face. She's not fucking with it. She's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, because look, bro, there are things that this country has done, bro. That's what it is. I understand. Because people try to use that as a crutch, especially a lot of communist Marxist types. They use that as a crutch to dismantle everything, destroy everything. However, it is true that countries, America is not alone in this, plenty of countries have done things that are not good. It is what it is. Look what China's doing to the Uyghur Muslims, right? Look what America has done to Japanese citizens during World War II. They put them in camps. Every country has done things against people that's not good. It's not a problem in bringing that up. So, and that's why I talk about the two extremes. On one extreme, it's, oh yeah, see, America has done bad things, so America needs to be destroyed. On the other extreme is, oh, America doesn't owe anybody anything. America hasn't done nothing wrong. Like, bro, we know America does things wrong, bro. Look at the war in Iraq. Look at the war on terror. Look at Vietnam. You know what I mean? But it's okay to criticize those on this side because, veterans, military, they personally affected. So, yeah, they can criticize them on that. But when it comes to something in regards to black people or a race thing or ethnic thing, oh, no. We don't talk about that. That's where I differ from a lot of these people, bro. That's where I differ. I'm not going to be on this side and say America is bad and evil. We need to destroy America. But I'm not going to be on this side either. Like, oh, America is 100% perfect. Well, I love America. America's the best. Woo! No, I think America is a good place to live. And I think that there are people who have ran America that have done bad things that can be addressed for sure. But when you operate in extremes, you lose the nuance. And me, I'm not even a person that knows everything about everything. And I can understand that. But imagine the people that don't know shit about shit. They're only seeing the extremes. And when people on the extremes, when they talk, they sound very convincing, charismatic. You believe what they say because it sounds like they believe what they say. So, it's kind of education. Education is key. Education and morals is key. Education and morals is key. Because if you have morals, you're going to understand. And you're not going to be on the extremes on either side because you have morals. Now, for education, you understand the context that will lead you and benefit those morals. Lead you to and benefit those morals. Oh boy. Education and wisdom. Wisdom is really key too. Wisdom is really key. But yeah, bruh. Let me know what you think about the video. It gave my 2 cents. I thought it was pretty interesting to see them have a little disagreement. I don't really watch The Hill that much. I've seen their videos plenty of times, but I don't consistently watch them. I don't even know their names. Okay, Brianna and Robbie. Okay, let's see if I remember next time I watch one of their videos. But again, this video is going to probably come out today. The Republican debate is tonight. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below about anything I said. If you agree, disagree, oh well. But yeah, I'll see you next video. Peace out.